So hello there, my name's Dane Lemaitre and welcome to the review. And this is a review on Hornby Gordon. Now, as you probably see in my other videos, I do actually have Hornby Gordon, the other one. And if you look at them side by side, originally when I first saw this was coming out, I thought they're both exactly the same. And however, when you look at a lot of different things, or just like say look at the model more in general, you do notice that there is a lot of things that are different about them. And whenever I do my videos, I always like to keep things sort of current with the times of Thomas and model railway world. So I just wanted to show you a couple of bits. So I got these two wagons the other day, the Typhoon T and this blue wagon. I got them from Whenever Trains and Models, my local model shop. Always trying to support it if I can. I didn't think they were a bad price either. Both second hand. Typhoon T one I got because obviously you've probably seen my other videos. I do like my cup of tea. And the blue one I got because it's not a Thomas one, but it looked like one of the Thomas trucks for the TV series. It looks exactly the same. So I thought I might get that. So I did. And also, this photo has been on social media recently of Thomas in 2D. And I don't think it looks very, very good at all. As I said before, I much prefer the show during the model series. And I wasn't that keen on the CGI animated series, which is currently out at the minute. However, I think that was definitely better than what's coming out now. The one thing I will say though is that Thomas's running board is completely flat. And in some of the early books, Thomas's running board had a little bit of a dip at the front, which meant that his buffers weren't level. So what happened was in the railway series, he had an accident where he crashed into the station master's house. And then when he came back from being fixed, his running board was flat. And in the railway series, it's remained flat ever since. So I suppose that's one good thing about it, really. I suppose we'll just have to see. And I also got this model of Bertie the bus, and I got that from the original factory shop, which is in Rushden. Again, I prefer this model of Bertie because I think it looks a lot better than what Bertie looks like now in the show. And say the sort of Bertie I remember growing up with. Anyway, moving back on to this model of Gordon. I do think this is really good, and I prefer this one to the other one. And if you look at them side by side, say the one big difference is the colour. Now, in my mind, Gordon has always been a bright blue engine. However, in some illustrations, and also in some TV series episodes, his blues looks a lot darker than it should be. It could always just be down to lighting in the TV series when it was made using models, I'm not sure. But I think the blue on this Gordon is a lot better. Gordon is one of the original engines. He was in the first ever book. And so he's always been one of my favourite ones. And as you know, in the railway series, and again in the TV series, his brother is the Flying Scotsman. And I absolutely love the Flying Scotsman. I've been on it a few times. And I've even managed to get my footage of it on the local BBC News 4 years ago. So for me, Flying Scotsman is quite sentimental. And I suppose in some ways that's why I like Gordon, because they're obviously their brothers, same basis and that. Now this model of Gordon, you can see it's got the black lampines on the front. And this model comes with them already fitted. The other model, it does come with them, but they're not fitted. And I actually like the fact that they're already fitted. That I don't have to put them on because personally, I'd feel a bit worried about breaking them or trying to put them on or something. So the fact that they comes with them already fitted is good. However, on a more sort of negative note, if you look, there's like the black stumpy bit at the top. And then if you look at this photo here of Gordon from the TV series, the black bits that sort of stick out at the bottom, whereas the other bits are at the top, so that the lamp can be fitted. And so these have been put upside down, and I couldn't actually find the article, but when these first came out, because this particular model was brought out back in 2015 or the year after, when they brought it back for the 70th anniversary. And there was a video where someone mentioned obviously about the fact that Gordon, James and Edward, the lampines are upside down. And I actually have James and Edward, which I'll be talking about another time. But yeah, they're upside down. And then if we move on to the tender, with the other Gordon, I can uncouple it from the tender. So his body from the tender. However, this one I can't because it's actually bolted together. Though it looks like you should be able to unscrew them. It comes with instructions as well, as you can see here. And Gordon, Edward and James, their instructions are the same. And when I bought this model of Gordon, I actually thought that it was loco driven. However, this one isn't. The only one that got brought back that is loco driven is Henry. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed it's not loco driven, but nevertheless I still think it runs really, really well. And as I said before, I prefer loco driven engines. I think they run a lot better, and I'm sure a lot of other people agree, and I've seen other people's reviews on this model and other models, and loco driven engines, no pun intended, are definitely the way forward, I think. And Gordon's always been one of my favourite ones, and one of my favourite stories was the story Domeless Engines, where he loses his dome. I also like the story Gordon Goes Foreign. However, that was only in the Railway series. It was originally supposed to be in the TV series, but never got past that stage due to budget reasons. If you look at the back of Gordon's tender on both models, there's red lining on the back. Now, we only see the back of Gordon's tender in some episodes that he's in. And in the TV series, there was no red lining on it. And again, looking at the Railway series, I don't think in the Railway series there was ever any red lining on the back of Gordon's tender either. But just because it's there and it shouldn't be, doesn't mean that it's a bad model. I actually think it looks okay. And again, looking at the tender, when I looked at this model, I thought apart from the colour blue, they were exactly the same. However, they are slightly different. If you look at the 4 on Gordon's tender, the 4 on this model of Gordon is a lot better than the 4 on the other tender. It looks like it's in the right font and everything. And again, just like Gordon's 4 in the TV series. And again, looking at the tender, I think it looks fairly like it did in the TV series. A thing to add as well is, with a lot of the Hornby models, I think Hornby's sort of aim was to make the models look like they did in the Railway series. Whereas Bachmann, they're more the TV series. And originally, when these came out, I heard they were going to have their faces from the CGI animated series. And Gordon is still in the CGI animated series. And never really left. But I'm glad, really, because I say this face on here, and again the face on the other model, the eyebrows are slightly different. But I think, nevertheless, it looks like Gordon's face in the TV series when the show was made using models. Which I'm quite glad about, really. Another thing to add as well with this model of Gordon is the buffers. Now, Gordon's buffers in the TV series are sort of like a square, sort of oval, curved shape. Whereas here, the buffers are completely round, so the wrong shape. And for me, just little things like that, I think let the model down, really. If they'd given Gordon the correct buffers, because I say on the other Gordon, the old one, they gave him the correct shape buffers. And if it wasn't for that, if they'd given this model the correct shape buffers, I think it would be a perfect model. And also say if it was loco driven as well. I say for me that's a letdown. And then also this bit here on his tender, around the wheels, that's all painted blue, when I think it would look much better if it was painted black. But again, as I said before in my other videos, sort of when you're a child sort of buying this, I don't think you look at all the details. I mean, if I was a child looking at this, I'm 27 years old now, but if I was younger and looking at this model now, I'd be able to sort of look at this and say, yes, that's Gordon, it looks like Gordon. But like I said, apart from the buffers, I do prefer this model of Gordon to the other one. Mainly because they've got the shade of blue, I think the right colour, like it should be. And again, if you look at the packaging for this model, it comes in the newer packaging with the CGI Thomas on it. And when this came out, back out again, on the back you can see the characters that were in the range. And there certainly wasn't as many characters that came out again as there had been in the range previously, as you can see in this whole catalogue, like, I don't know, Bill and Ben and Duck and things like that. And that's the thing as well. Characters like Oliver and Bill and Ben were in the CGI series. They've been reintroduced and come back again when this range came out again. So I don't know why Hornby didn't just re-release them. Like I said, there wasn't nearly as many characters, really. And, there was only 6 of them, which was Edward James, Gordon, Henry, Percy and Thomas. And I'm quite surprised that Toby didn't come out, as he was part of the Steam team at that time. Edward and Henry used to be part of the Steam team, but they no longer seem to be part of it, although they do still appear in the CGI series. But then again, like I said, Hornby used tooling from other locomotives to make their models, which is why all of them aren't completely spot on. And back then there was new characters like, Gator, Timothy, Samson and Marion, who's a steam shovel. And say Hornby wouldn't have had the tooling to have made those characters, really. So I guess that's why they didn't bring them out. You know, but like I said, I think it would have been a lot better if there'd been a lot more characters. Whereas say Bachman now, who are the ones that are doing everything, they do literally every single character. And again, going back to the Railway series, like I said, when I look at this model of Gordon, I think of you know, it looks like what he does in the Railway series. And this particular photo here, apparently, according to the Thomas Wikia page, Gordon's face is actually based upon Eric Marriott, who was the Railway series editor. And you can see a similarity, and apparently it was actually his idea to introduce Diesel into the Railway series, which again I'm glad about. And that was to make it more sort of modern, because apparently the Reverend W. Awdry, who obviously created it originally, wasn't a fan of diesel locomotives. And like I said, I prefer steam engines to diesels, but I do think a lot of the older diesels look nice compared to the newer diesels that we've got now, personally. But again, like even characters like Diesel, I'm surprised that when they brought Hornby back, they didn't introduce him either, really. But yeah, like I said, second time around, there wasn't nearly as many characters. I mean, also as well, if you look on the back, it shows you that all the trucks now, not the coaches, but the trucks, you can only buy them in packs. And whereas you used to be able to buy all the trucks individually. I don't know if this is Hornby's idea of either making more money or, you know, making it more cost effective for the audience, like the target audience, so like the fans that buy them. But then obviously, you know, if you were to buy these packs, you'd end up with loads of scruffy. Whereas obviously I've got lots of troublesome trucks, as you've probably seen in my other videos, because it makes sense to have more than one truck to make a long train. But like characters like, I don't know, Scruffy and Old Slow Coach, which I've got already, you only need one of, because there's obviously only one of them. And again, I'm sort of surprised that they sort of did Scruffy and Old Slow Coach, because Scruffy was a character that only appeared in one episode, and then his face was used in other trucks and other episodes. And again, Old Slow Coach, he was a bit of a one-off character as well, and so the fact that I already had them, I'm sort of surprised, and the fact they didn't appear very much. I mean, Scruffy was in the magazine toys as well, but yeah, I'm surprised that they came out second time round. And again, going back to the say Gordon's buffers, Boko the diesel engine in the TV series, his buffers are the same shape as Gordon's, which I always found a bit funny, because obviously they developed a bit of a friendship, because Gordon thought Boko saved his life from Bill and Ben, but now in fact they're only teasing. But in some illustrations, Boko's buffers appear to be round as well. I'm not 100% sure why that is. And again, the Flying Scotsman, his Hornby model, his buffers are round as well. So not the same shape as Gordon's. Like I said, Gordon's buffers mainly in the Railway series were, say, square-shaped, pointed, so a different shape to all the other engines, so buffers were normally just plain sort of round. I also got this jigsaw recently of Gordon, and it was actually a lot harder than it looks, particularly when I was doing the sky bit of the jigsaw. And I've got a few other Thomas jigsaws and things like that as well. I like the old sort of Thomas memorabilia. As I said, this came out just after 2015, around then when it was the 70th anniversary of the show. And this year the show turned 75. And there was a special called Thompson the Royal Engine, which features a new engine called Duchess, and she was voiced by a famous actress called Rosamund Pike. And again, Gordon appeared in that, which I'm sort of glad about, as he was originally one of the first characters that was in the show. But again, when it comes to specials, the one that came out for the 70th birthday 5 years ago, Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, for some reason I thought that special seemed a lot better. Don't know why, really. I had a run of this Gordon, and I think that he runs really, really nicely indeed, despite the fact that he's not loco-driven. when I done my review on Gordon last time, I gave him 9.5 out of 10 because I thought that it was a good model, but not quite there to give a 10 out of 10. And again, when reviewing this Gordon, I felt exactly the same. Like I said, for me, the buffers being the wrong shape. Only in one of the very early illustrations from the Railway series was Gordon seen with round buffers. But again, the illustrations weren't always as good detail-wise in the earlier books compared to what they were in the later books. I think it's fair to say. So he's not the shape that they normally are. Was a bit of a letdown when nearly all the other models of Gordon, have actually managed to get the shape of his buffers correct. So I decided, when giving this Gordon a score, to give him a 9.5 out of 10. Same as the other one. I thought that was quite fair, really, because like I said, they're both really nice models for different reasons, I think. But like I said, for me, I do prefer this one, but like I said, it still wasn't there to give a 10 out of 10. But it was very close, and I still keep my score that I gave the last Gordon the same as well, I think. Obviously, when I done that review on Gordon, that was 6 years ago, which was in November, about 2 months before January, when they announced that they were going to bring this range back out again. And again, when you look on the back of the box, they've actually used the old models, because Thomas had a grey running board when he came out again, whereas before it was completely blue. So you can see from just looking at it that they're the same. And on the box as well, it's quite interesting. It says 3+. I'm sure not many 3-year-olds could be trusted. It's like I've got the pop-up books as well, and I mean, it's very rare that you find any of them in good condition now, really, because a lot of children probably wouldn't be able to be trusted, because obviously the book's quite fragile. A lot of things will probably end up getting ripped out. But like I said, I've got Gordon, Edward and James and St. Thomas. I haven't got Percy, though for my birthday, which was back in August, I got the Bachman Percy, you probably saw in my other video. They do Gordon in the Bachman range as well. However, again, I prefer the Hornby one, because I think the Hornby one looks a lot bigger. And again, Gordon's supposed to be a big engine, so for me the Bachman one looks a bit too small. I think on the plus side, to my knowledge, that one is actually loco driven. So loco driven meaning that obviously it's powered by the wheels and not powered by the tender. I do think it's very nice. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.